Good evening, ladies. I hope everyone's summer has been great so far. Let's go to the welcome to summer chair training. Next slide, please. There you go. Here's a little Zoom reminders. All users will be on mute. Please turn on your video to increase engagement. Please enter your full name and your committee name. And lastly, during the session, you may submit for open Q&A in the chat box.
Hi everyone, welcome to the 2022 Summer Chair Training. We have a jam-packed agenda tonight with a lot of helpful information to make sure you have a successful volunteer year. We'll begin with a welcome from our president, Sarah Ekin, followed by our executive vice president, Lee Morby-Favali. Helene and I will then go over the role of a co-chair, what your NYJL year looks like, and how to set your committee up for success. Our executive director, Diane Rohde, will join us to give an overview of the Astor House, followed by communications and finance presentations by Courtney Smith and Noreen O'Carter. We will then have a 5-minute break to grab a refreshment and stretch our legs. Upon return, we will split up into breakout rooms by area, where you will have the opportunity to hear from your council heads about the upcoming year and ask them questions. To wrap things up, we will give you some important save the dates and upcoming events. I will now toss to Helene, who will introduce our president.
Our lovely president, Sarah, has been a member of the NYJL for the past 17 years. Sarah recently served as a director at large on the board of directors and dedicated her time to the membership area, serving as a provisional leader and co-chair of the provisional training committee. Sarah has experience serving on the development work group, the strategic planning work group, membership work group, human resource work group, and the technology task force. From 2015 to 2017, Sarah was the executive vice president. In addition, she has served in several leadership roles in the fundraising area as the fundraising and affiliation senior council head and fundraising council head, as well as on several fundraising committees, including Winter Ball, Home Design, and founding co-chair of the auction committee. In 2021, Sarah was presented with the NYJL's Outstanding Volunteer Award. Personally, Sarah is the managing director of development and the Pink Agenda at the Breast Cancer Research Foundation. She also serves on the board of director at the WP Theater. Sarah graduated from Boston University and holds a Bachelor's of Science degree in communications and a minor in psychology. Welcome, Sarah.
You would think after all this time, I know how to use Zoom, but thank you, Helene. Good evening, everybody. And I am so thrilled to be here with you this evening. I remember my first summer chair training over 13 years ago and the excitement and the nerves for the year ahead. I first want to give a special thanks to Helene, Erica, and the entire Leadership Development Committee for organizing tonight's training. Along with Megan and Jennifer's leadership, I know how much work goes into planning this program. I am grateful for all of you for raising your hands to be chairs and stepping up to lead our committees this year. Our chairs are the core of the organization, and each one of you represents the New York Junior League's values with integrity and pride. We are so lucky to have you in these leadership roles. This year, we have 72 committee chairs, with 402 years of Junior League experience. This is incredible. 31 of you are first-time chairs, so welcome. And there are 16 of you who have transferred from a wide range of other leagues, including Birmingham, Boston, Denver, Louisville, Philadelphia, Salt Lake City, and many more. What an amazing group of women, and it's truly an honor to be serving with all of you. Now it's your time to bring your experience to your committees. It's no easy task, but I know you will continue on in the same great tradition that was started by our founder, Mary Harriman, when she organized a group of dedicated young women to give their time, talent, and energy to ensure that New York City would be a better place to live. Thank you. for your service and commitment to the New York Junior League. And I look forward to seeing all that you do this year.
Thank you, Sarah. Up next, we have our Executive Vice President, Lee Morby-Favali. Lee has been an NYJL volunteer since 2009 and currently serves as our EVP. She most recently served as a director at large on the NYJL Board of Directors from 2019 to 2021. In addition, she also served as the chair of the board's development work group and as a member of the membership task force. She previously served as the Children's Education Council head on the Management Council from 2018 to 2019, and before that as the associate for the Children's Education Council from 2017 to 2018. A longtime volunteer in both the membership and community areas, Lee has also served as a co-chair of the Personal Empowerment Project from 2015 to 2017 and as co-chair of Done in a Day on Demand from 2014 to 2015. She's also served as a provisional leader from 2013 to 2014, and before that as co-chair of new membership from 2011 to 2013. She was honored as an outstanding volunteer in 2019 and recognized as a woman to watch in 2012. Outside of the NYJL, Lee has served as a member of the YMCA McBurney's Board of Directors since 2011, where she's held a number of leadership roles, including serving as chair of the Board of Managers from 2017 to 2019. Professionally, Lee has worked in FX and corporate payment solutions for the past 20 years. She holds an honors BA in political science from Huron College and the University of Western Ontario. Welcome, Lee.
Good evening, ladies. Welcome to summer co-chair training. We are so excited for all of you. And obviously, Sarah and I have sat in your seats previously. Some of my most memorable experiences are the networking that I made during these training sessions and the skill set I picked up. If there are some recommendations I can offer, is just to absorb this wonderful program that the ladies have put together for you, as we are certain that it will help aid your success this year. I can't wait to see each and every one of you at the Astor House, out in the community, or at an event sometime soon in person. Enjoy this evening, and we will speak to you soon. Take care.
Thank you, Lee. Moving ahead, we encourage full chair participation in the training. As Celine mentioned, please feel free to place questions in the chat feature. It will be moderated and we will respond in real time. We want to thank you so much for raising your hand and seeking out a leadership role within the NYJL. Co-chairs play a vital role to the organization on many levels. You are often the first person to connect with our newest members after they complete their provisional year, or a transfer who might have relocated to New York City. You've developed trusted relationships with your community partners, vendors, sponsors, and press contacts. You are a strong communicator and a problem solver. Co-chairs are many things, and it's for that reason that we want to kick off the NYJL volunteer year by providing you with the critical tools, resources, and strategies to feel empowered and supported in your leadership role. Your NYJL year as a chair. This year, more than ever, early engagement with your committee will be key. Some tips on setting your committee up for success are: make sure to check your roster early, starting tomorrow if you haven't already done so. Verify that the contact information is correct. Welcome your new committee members. If you have a large committee, creating a buddy system could be helpful between a new and returning member. Be open and honest with your communication style, frequency, and how to best connect with volunteers and when. Review and prepare leadership roles and descriptions and assess if more or fewer roles are needed on your committee. Make available to all committee members. Build a leadership team and engage them in committee level planning. Make sure you set clear expectations with your leadership team and your committee members. Continuing with clear expectations, make sure you review your committee description, NYJL strategic plan, committee goals, and committee annual planning calendar with the members of your committee. Make sure you review your committee budget and make sure your leadership team has the access and resources needed to fulfill financial obligations and responsibilities. Make sure to divvy up responsibilities as best you can so everyone is able to have a meaningful experience and provide valuable input regardless of committee size. Prepare all committee documents and templates ahead of your first meeting if you can. And establish a relationship and best form of communication with your council head to make sure that you and your committee can stay on track with committee requirements. Getting to know your league resources. Courtney Smith will dive into this during the communications presentation, but here are a few bullet points to get you thinking. If you haven't already done so, get to know Digital Cheetah. Make sure that you and those on your committee that need it have the appropriate access to handle their committee responsibilities. Internal NYJL communications include the member calendar, Friday Flash, member Facebook group, and SmugMug. External NYJL communications include the newslog and website. So what exactly does your NYJL year look like? In the fall, we're looking at building a strong foundation. We hold our first committee meetings. Some of you may start a little early this summer. We attend mandatory trainings, placement previews, and transfer orientations are going on at this time. And we begin early brainstorming and succession planning for the next year. In the winter, we can look forward to winter chair training, welcoming new volunteers from the fall provisional class, and we can encourage our rising leaders to self-nominate for Leadership Day. In the spring, we look at ending our year on a high note. During this busy time of the league, we encourage chair application submission, nominate women to watch, ensure committee members who want to return to the committee renew their placement. We have a spring chair training to look forward to. We submit work orders and plan and discuss for the next year. We work on a transition plan with our council heads, incoming chair and leadership. And of course, we celebrate the end of a successful volunteer year. Those are some of the bigger items to look forward to. Throughout the year, you should also make sure you review committee progress towards the annual plan, review committee requirements and committee member participation, check in individually with committee members, and just remember to meet members where they are. That might mean on the phone, a walk outdoors, personal contact outreach really matters. You will track committee spending, connect with your council head about committee needs, including placement, and encourage open dialogue regarding placement and membership options for committee members. And with that, I'm going to toss to Helene, who will go over some of the best practices for co-chairs.
Now that we have taken a look at your timeline and do's and don'ts with Erica, it's time to think about your first meeting and how you'll go about communicating to your committee. Take some time to think of some topics to cover at the first meeting. If you're dealing with challenges in your co-chair role, chances are you're not alone. Ask for advice from other co-chairs or your council head. Talk to your co-chair. Set the expectation and plan. Remember that you both have different lives, so it's important to understand each other's work-life balance and circumstances. Best way is to be open and communicate with each other. It's important to plan ahead. Make sure your council head is fully informed about your plans and use her as a resource to brainstorm. It's also okay to change course if things are not working out too well. Here are some helpful links, Zoom information, where to submit link requests and Zoom guides. These links will be dropped in chat by Courtney. Remember to also engage outside of meetings. Promote some fun. Be mindful and inclusive in activities and be aware that not everyone is currently local. Also, it's a great idea to create or update your committee handbook, as well as scheduling some summer committee activities. Please feel free to drop your questions in the chat and we'll be able to answer them. Erica?
It looks like we have a couple questions.
Awesome.
Who is the SLC transfer? Megan, do you have an answer for that? Lexi. Smug. Okay, what is Smug Mug? Smug Mug is where all of our pictures live from all of our events and trainings and community outreach. Do we have, can we drop the Smug Mug link into Courtney or Jessica? Ah, perfect. Thank you, Courtney.
Courtney's fast.
She is fast. How do we update committee discussions on the AJLI placement website? Alexandra, I believe Courtney will be able to go over that during her presentation.
Shannon,
Oh,
thank you.
Thank you, Shannon.
Love it. See, I love the interactiveness in the chat with all the co-chairs and councils.
It takes a village. I love it.
Yeah.
All right.
Shannon is co-chair placement. I knew that, Shannon.
All right, up next we have, we're gonna have a presentation about the Astor House. Has Diane been able to log in?
I'm here.
Oh, hi, Diane.
Hi. Yes. Oh my
All
goodness,
right.
I think you must be ahead of schedule.
Oh, I talk fast. Sorry about that.
We like
All right.
to be ahead of schedule. So
Diane
nice.
has been promoted to the SOAR
Oh, you're
Executive
not
Director.
going to read
Diane
all
Brody.
this, are you? Please.
Of course I am. You're very
No,
important.
no.
Diane has been promoted to the position of Executive Director. This promotion is a reflection of the responsibilities Diane has already been managing in her role as Chief Operating Officer. Diane joined the NYJL staff in July 2014 as Interim Chief Operating Officer and was placed in the permanent role of COO in February of 2016. During her time as COO, she has managed many transitions in operations, including the outsourcing of the accounting work, taking on the direct management of the building facilities and major projects such as the garden renovation, overseeing changes to food and beverage, resulting in a profit in fiscal year 2022 for the first time in many years, and has upgraded various vendors and programs. When the Astor House closed for 17 months because of COVID-19 pandemic, Diane remained on site as the lone staff member for many months before being joined by one porter. Her willingness to come to the building every day allowed the building to be maintained and safe. Diane is a lifelong nonprofit executive, having previously been a vice president of the National Multiple Sclerosis Society in 3 departments: fundraising, communications and marketing, and human resources. She also was the founding executive director and association for clinical researchers and educators. Welcome, Diane.
Thank you so much. I have to say, I'm a little embarrassed that you read all that, but certainly happy to be here tonight. It's really fun to see your faces, see your names, even though it's not live. I mean, it's live, but it's not in person, but we look forward to seeing you at the Astor House. We're spiffing up and getting ready. And of course, we're opening September 6th. So what I'm going to do is just walk you through a little bit about, particularly about staff and a little bit about a few things I hope will help you as you move into this year. So we're going to talk about staff, we're going to talk about operations, and we're going to hit a little bit on food and beverage. So if you go to the next slide, you will see our staff chart. And you will see it's not a big staff. We actually have 5.5 people on the staff. And then we have some people that are contract. So for example, our bartender is contract. We have a part-time communications person, Delaney. And actually her name is spelled wrong there. It's W-E-H-N. And security and accounting are all contracted. So just to give you a little sense, when pre-COVID, we were 14.5 on staff. Now we're 5.5. Of course, a lot of that had to do with some layoffs in the food and beverage, but also on the administration level. We are looking for a senior manager in development. If you know people, or even just think you know people that might be interested in this, please let us know. The website does have the job description. So because that will be helpful to all. So let's go to the next. I'm going to walk you through the staff. I'm not going to read you everything. I'm going to give you some highlights. So Dinah Fuentes is an administrative assistant, and as you would expect, she does a lot of the typical things that an administrative assistant does. But the second bullet is the most important for you because she places all the committee online orders, including awards. But I'm going to talk a little more about that, but keep her name in mind because she can make your life so much easier when it comes to ordering virtually anything. You know, if it can be ordered online, we can order it from the Junior League and we save anybody being having to get reimbursed. And we also make sure all the taxes are removed. So that's Dinah. Next is Stephanie Bezdillo, and she is you connect with her often, I think, as chairs because she handles all the room reservations, the room setup, logistics, and she reserves your Zoom lines and just provides a lot of support to our food and beverage operation. She does a lot of the sales for external. In addition, she provides support and admin support to the fundraising committee. So this means like she'll build ticket links, she'll pull reports, she makes sure funds coming in get plugged into the right buckets as far as fundraising. Then we have Flora Rodriguez, and also you may be dealing with her quite a bit. She maintains all our membership records and answers questions, dues, membership records, transfer out, transfers in, provisionals. You know, I was a member in 1990 and I want to reinstate. And so how do I do that? And all those kinds of questions. She is really the best. She's the most, we all know Digital Cheetah, but she really knows it the best. So sometimes for contact, if you get stuck, she's a good person to go to. But she is also the person that will manage opening any back end access that needs to be done. And she then also provides support to the development area. She manages the tax letters, all the donations. She makes sure the matching gifts are followed up on. And then what she was originally hired for and what she has her master's degree in, she manages our archives. So she still does that, but it is a much smaller part of her job than it was before. But trust me, she is still looking for your photos, looking for all the things that you create during the year, t-shirts, physical things as well. Renee is one of our porters. You probably don't see him very much because you're probably there mostly in the evenings, but he is the daytime porter and he does the things you would expect. He's the one that opens up and then is gone by 4 o'clock. He does receive deliveries, and so that's an important thing to know because there's a lot of deliveries that come into the house. Just so you know, we log every delivery in a log book, so we know everything that has come in, and we don't, so far, we haven't lost anything that's been sent there as long as it's, you know, as long as it's really ours. We get some mystery deliveries sometimes, which are kind of exciting. And we have a dental office close to us, and oh my goodness, the things they get delivered that bring to us, but we immediately know that's not our stuff. Then the porter you probably know best is Manny Perez. He's been there for many years. He's the evening porter. He does all the rooms. He does a lot of room setups. I mean, Renee does as well. But I think the thing I want to emphasize here is bullet 5 and the bullet 4 and 5. So if you are using Hybrid, he can give you technical support. The other thing is he is the on the ground person for things you may need, more chairs, you need a flip chart, if you need markers, you know, all kinds of things like this that you may need in your room. Manny is the go-to person there. So let's go to how we can help. And this is really, you probably think, oh, I already know all this, but there'll be a couple of you who don't know this. Online orders. Dinah does this, and like I said, this is our preferred way to purchase as we handle all the orders. We can track them. We put them against a credit card so that, you know, if there's something wrong with them, we have some protection there. We make sure there's no taxes being charged to us. And any committee can ask for this help. This does not, this is, at some point I've heard the rumor, this is only community committees. That's not true. Every committee can order from us. There's not an order that's really too small. We can order from any online source. We can, if we don't have the account, we get it set up, we get the taxes removed. But to make it work, we need a purchase order for those orders where you need, where it's at a high enough threshold for purchase order. We need the links of what you want us to buy and how much and where you want it shipped. Things get shipped all over, and Dinah is excellent at letting you know when it ships, at letting you know if there's a delay. She also often will help if your item is sold out, helping to find a replacement. So she lifts this whole burden of like, I have to go out to Michael's, I have to go to the party store, I have to go to someplace and buy this for my committee, because she can take care of all that. And you don't, there's nothing special you have to do. Purchase order, your links, and what you need, how many you need and where to ship them. So do utilize that. The next thing is supplies and equipment. Just so you know, we have 2 computers set up on the 5th floor for members, and they're connected to a printer. We also have a large copier that you can use, and everybody has a committee code. Just looked at them today, very nice. And then all kinds of basic supplies. We encourage you to not buy all these kind of basic supplies for your own committee. Over the years, as I've helped clean out a lot of file drawers up on the 5th floor, where you find all kinds of things, really amazing things. In fact, we find committees that have boxes of name tags that they, blank name tags they've ordered, or markers, blank table tents, and these things sort of go to waste. So we ask you not to do that. If you need a big volume, if you're going to need, 100 name tags or something, let us know, but we can manage that. And it's so much better to have this in a collective group. We get a better price, and we don't have, since COVID, I've cleaned out a lot of these drawers, and you have no idea how many dried up markers I have thrown away. So try not to get us into that dried up marker world anymore. It's really quite depressing. So moving on. So please use that supply cabinet. We will also have some supplies downstairs for you. So under the mailbox. So, like if you just need general things, look under the mailboxes on the 1st floor, because we're going to keep that stock. But if it's something more exotic, like you need rubber bands, exotic things like that, you have to come to the 5th floor. Okay, we have a lot of rubber bands as well. Although I have found it's a very unpopular office supply these days, rubber bands. Not that, we've got a few things, even Post-it notes aren't very popular anymore. So, but we have that. Okay, next on your room setups, this is Stephanie. If you need to sell something, not for yourself, of course, this is not your dining room table or something. I'm talking about like selling something for the junior league. We can set this up on Square. So if you're selling tickets, if you're selling merchandise, if you're doing walk-in tickets, all of this sort of thing, we can set it up on Square. It's a very user-friendly platform, and either Dinah or Stephanie can set this up. Even I can set this up in a pinch. And we will put the iPads and the little scanners for the credit cards with security. So you check it out with security and you bring it back to security, and he will have you log it back in and make sure it gets to the 5th floor. So that's, there's a lot of things that can be sold that way. Okay. Room setup. So, the more you tell us in advance, the better it is. Really, there is not anything too small that we don't like to know. Curious people there on the 5th floor. But please give Stephanie information in advance, and cancel if you're not going to use. I mean, you may think, oh, well, what difference does it make? But if we send porters in to set up a room special, it does take their time. So if you're going to cancel, please let us know. We have projectors, we have hybrid equipment, we have flip charts, we have a portable whiteboard, we have speaker phones. So I think you are pretty well equipped. We have, I don't know if I said this, but conference, yes, speakerphone. And, you know, for the most part, we need this hybrid equipment in the meeting rooms, but we'll take it out if you want us to, and, or if you need it set up someplace special. So if you have, with knowing all this, you will probably not, let's go to the next slide. You'll not have any problems, but you might. You may have problems at meeting time. As long as they're related to the building, we want to help. If they're related to the people, well, all right, you know, you're on your own there. You got to find somebody else to talk to. But although you can always come talk to me, I'm always interested in people problems. But if, for example, if you need chairs or you need the temperature adjusted or you need help with your hybrid equipment and you're like, I don't know what to do and it's going to start in 5 minutes, just take a deep breath and go to the reception desk. We have a security guard. His name is Lewis. Ask him to radio the porter, which will probably be Manny, and then he will take care of it. So don't try to track down Manny yourself because he may be, you know, on any floor and you could waste a lot of time. Head to that reception desk and ask the security guard to radio him. Okay, deliveries and storage. We find we get a lot of deliveries, as I said, for us and for the dentist. But the more we know in advance, the better, because we understand what's coming in. Sometimes these things are labeled in a really funky way. And if we know we are watching for them, we know where to put them. Storage. Well, I don't know how many of you have heard the sad little story that last summer we had, you know, tremendous water intrusion in our sub basement. We had to throw out a lot of stuff. Very little alcohol, so that's good. But a lot of other things. So we are not storing things in the sub basement anymore. It is just too difficult. Some committees have closets. Many committees have file drawers where they store things in. But if you need some sort of storage situation, you should come and talk to me and I'll try to help you out as best I can, because we do understand you don't want to take everything home all the time and you need something on site. It's just we can't store huge amounts, but current materials, yes, we can try to help you out on that. What happens a lot is that it's the end of the meeting, everything gets shoved into a shopping bag and brought upstairs and shoved, and I mean shoved, into a file drawer, and then it lives there for, well, I don't know, maybe some of Mary Harriman's stuff is still up there. I can't really tell, but it stays there a very long time. So we keep cleaning out and working with you to clean out, but we also understand you need some storage. Food and beverage. I'm not going to go in depth in this. I'm just finishing off what I think is very detailed handbook on this that I will place on the chair's group share. But here's some highlights. The Pine Room will open on September 6th. We will be back to a regular Pine Room schedule, regular Pine Room service. Yes, for those of you waiting for drinks with real liquor in them, yes, we will be serving them again. So if you've been yearning for that Scotch on the rocks, it's back on September 6th. Our bartender is back, Tariq. I think if you were in the building last year, you know he's engaging and a good bartender for us at the Junior League and really enjoys this. So he will be back. We're open from 6 to 10. Just a reminder, this is not a meeting place. No papers, please. And, you know, just this is a place to socialize, but this place you can come to before meetings. You can group up there after meetings. It's sort of been like the heartbeat, I suppose, of the Astor House for members, for a place to meet up. Same as last year, you can bring in food from the outside. So if you decide you want to bring in a cheese tray, or you want to bring in pizzas for your committee, or you're going to bring in, you know, some sort of other food service, perfectly fine. Have at it. it can't be homemade if you're going to serve it to somebody else, because there are some health rules we still have to follow. If you can bring anything you've made at home and eat it yourself, your own risk, of course. You know, if it, for it, but if you want to do things like you want to like particularly think about, I mean, I think, just to jump on this a little bit, your first meeting sets the tone. You're going to hear this probably all night, but it sets the tone for your year. So I think just all the little details that you do, putting out your agendas around the room in advance, putting out any materials. If you can order a couple of bottles of wine to share, that's great. We have a way that we can do that and help have it in your meeting room for you. And then, you know, maybe you want to have some, you know, snacky type food there as well. It just feels good as people come into that room. Many people were on the committees last year, but many weren't. So, you know, anything you can do to sort of make it feel like better, I think that's nice. So you can bring in the food from the outside. We don't actually have any food there to give you. So if you want food, you do have to bring it from in. But you can't have individual food orders delivered there. So we can't have a stream of seamless bicycles coming through to us. But we will, but if you want to, like, say you've ordered something, you know, you've ordered cupcakes, you've ordered cheese plates. I mean, you know, all the things that people order. Yes, we can accept that. If it needs to go into a refrigerator, we'll take care of that. We have no interest in food sitting out and creating food poisoning. If you need linens, just let Stephanie know. She'll make sure that you've got the linens for your tables. You do have to drop them down yourself and pick them up afterwards. And just a reminder that really all beverages need to come from us, from the junior league. This has to do with our liquor license, and we don't want to lose that liquor license. So finally, let me just, these are these kind of things that your mother would say to you. So just keep that in mind. Clean up your room at the end of your meeting. So if you did bring in all that food and you have a lot of papers left, or everybody's left their pen there or whatever, please just clean it up. And there's trash bins in all these rooms. Don't use glitter on anything. That's my favorite thing. I don't want to see any glitter, because we get this in the carpet and we never get it out. And we have some new carpets. Don't tape on our walls, please. Don't tip our staff. Even though that's, you know, sometimes I see people come to me. I've had people come to me and, like, you know, press bills into my hand, like I was a maitre d' or something. But you're not allowed to do that. So please give to the employee fund if you'd like to say if you think the staff has done a good job. I think overshare, but only about junior league stuff, please. So copy us on the staff on items. Start early, ask questions. Trust me, there wasn't a chair that ever was a first-year chair that knew it all. So ask those questions, but most of all, have fun. This is a volunteer job. This should be fun. So do what you can to make it fun for you and for the people that you work with, because that will really enhance the year for everybody. And that's it. Thank you so much for letting me chat.
Thank you so much, Diane. This is amazing information. We really appreciate it. And we look forward to coming back to Astor House.
We look forward to it too. So.
Oh, and Diane, I always have fun with you there. Every time I see you at the house, at Astor House.
Well, I like being at Astor House, and I love seeing all of you. And honestly, we're just really looking forward to, we know it won't be, you know, it'll be slightly different than pre-COVID. We also know we're going to have a lot more people in the house. We have a lot of great events going. So like I said, at the end of the day, you want to do good, but you want to have fun.
Absolutely. Thanks, Diane. Okay, next, Courtney Smith. She's our Strategy and Communication Council head. Courtney joined the NYJL in 2017 and saw an opportunity to lend her skills and passion for marketing to the External Communications Committee. She served on the ECC for 2 years, in which the ECC became reborn as a content creation committee. In 2019, Courtney became content creation co-chair and led the committee for 2 years until 2021. In those 2 years, the league saw the onset of the pandemic and a shift towards crisis comms mode. There was a need for additional communication support, and so the communications work group was created. Courtney has been a member of the comms work group since 2020. Finally, in 2021, Courtney joined the Spotlight on Performance Committee, and in 2022, she became the Strategy and Communications Council head. Courtney's professional background is in marketing and advertising within the media and entertainment industry, with experience in TV, radio, live events, cinema, and digital. Additionally, Courtney is someone who loves everything pop culture, from live music, Broadway, and TV shows, and enjoy being on the cutting edge of technology, both personally and in her field. Her passions lie in storytelling, partnership development, and taking challenges head on. Welcome, Courtney.
Thank you. I really thought that was going to be more just like read or on the screen for a moment. So I appreciate you reading it out loud, but I'm going to edit
Oh
that.
no, of course.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Very interesting
everyone.
information.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm really happy to be here and, excited for everyone starting as a new co-chair and returning. We're so excited for everyone. So I'm here to just kind of give you a bird's eye view of communications and how to best help the league achieve its communication goals for 2022. So we can, I think, go to the next slide and maybe even skip that slide, please. Yeah, so this is the whole comms team. At the top of the strategy and communications area, you have our senior council head, Nicole Furlong, and below her, there are 2 breakouts, communications and strategy council, of which I'm the council head, and the social action and advocacy council, or side of it, which is headed by Mariah Lutz-Tavit. And below my side of the tree, we've got content creation, archives and photography, and research and analysis. For tonight's 101, I will just be going over the comms that generally lie in content creation and archives and photography, but just to give everyone kind of an overview of the whole team. And as I think Diane mentioned earlier, we also have a paid communications staffer who is part-time, Delaney Wen, who helps us out with the day-to-day comms operations. She manages our content calendar and our long-term comms, our institutional comms, such as the website, the annual reports, and other digital properties. Whereas the volunteer side and the committees are doing a lot of the social media and some of the evergreen campaigns and emails and blogs and things like that. So next slide. And this was, I'm going to be able to share this, my slides with everyone through the chat. So if you want to read a little bit more on what every committee does, I just put this in here and also included some of the pertinent emails and names for who you would be working with if you reached out. And next slide. So why are communications central to our mission, and why is it so important? We use at the league social media, emails, and website content to demonstrate our community impact. We use it to generate revenue, to fund our mission, to recruit new volunteers, to cultivate pride and engagement among current Junior League volunteers, and of course, to support advocacy for women and children. And for those channels, who are we aiming to reach? Primarily, it is New York Junior League members, an internal audience, but we also have a large external audience, and that's comprised of prospective members, non-member donors, such as individuals, foundations, and grant makers, current and potential community partners, community influencers like elected leaders and advocates, and former Junior League members and other junior leagues. And I love this graphic. It's just kind of a great, again, bird's eye view of all the things that we use, although I see some of them are a little bit grayed out, but how do we reach them? For the external pages, we are reaching them and talking to our audience through Instagram, our Facebook page, less Twitter, and in past years, less LinkedIn, but we're aiming to ramp that up and become more of a presence on LinkedIn. Also, externally, we're reaching our audience through our public website and our news log, and then through our annual report. And then we're speaking to our members only audience through our member website, our news and reminders, through committee visits, through our Facebook group, through our marketing emails, the Friday Flash, and also through our NYJL Slack. We have a general channel. And so next slide, speaking of Slack, I noticed that a lot of times they'll run into different volunteers and they weren't aware that we had a Slack for the Junior League, or they're not sure how to sign up for it. If you go on to the member website, you can go up to the resources tab on the top nav and then go down to collaborative tools, and you can get access just by clicking that link, join the NYJL workspace. So do that if you want to. It's a great place to kind of house your committee and send out blasts without sending out like tons of emails and having a lot of back and forth. You can also drop files or, brainstorming ideas in the Slack and kind of pin it to different channels. And then of course, once everything finalized, you can upload it to Digital Cheetah, which is where we want everything to live for the final product. Okay, tips for successful communications. So the biggest thing is just to plan ahead. We're at the beginning of the year, and you are essentially the person that's going to know your committee best. So just start thinking about what you want to highlight throughout the year. Is your committee a committee that has a specific event with dates already planned out? Do you generally know what month it's going to be? Are you planning VETs? Do you have specific committee work, working with specific partners that might have issues that are highlighted in certain months? For instance, breast cancer in October. That's all stuff that you want to start thinking about now, and then reaching out to us and kind of getting a conversation started earlier, or at least thinking about it internally with your own committee. So just make out a rough schedule. It doesn't have to be perfect, the dates can change, but check the member calendar, identify those events and milestones, and try to figure out when your comms would be most relevant and effective. And then give us the deets. Don't keep it to yourself, share it with the content creation team. If you need help creating a campaign plan, like what you think you want to highlight, but you're not really sure how to organize your ideas, we have a form that kind of just asks you, it's like a questionnaire, and it asks you different questions about what you would be looking to promote. That's a really easy way. You don't have to fill out all of it, and you don't have to fill it out perfectly, but just to kind of jot your ideas down and get out what you think you might need help with. And then if you don't want to do that formal aspect of it, you can just email our content creation co-chairs through contentcreation@nyjl.org or publications@nyjl.org, and reach out that way to kind of get the ball rolling. And the thing that I think is the best way to get a campaign going with our content creation and archives and photography groups is to do a 15-minute meet and greet. Like, reach out now and say, okay, we know we're going to have something in December that we're going to need help on. Knowing that it kind of takes 2 to 3 weeks to plan and execute with volunteers because everyone's on different schedules. December is now looking like November, so maybe we want to meet with content creation even earlier, maybe in October. So schedule in October a quick 15-minute meet and greet. Have 2 people from your committee come meet the content creation committee and give us a quick rundown, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and some questions after of just what's so important that you want to highlight. Why is it cool? We've seen that it really helps the content creation volunteers get excited about what you're doing versus if they just read it off of a report. And putting those faces to names, especially because some of us still virtual and not in the Astor House as much, it just really helps with the engagement and getting people excited about promoting your communications need. Okay, so this is just a long list. I'm not going to go through everything, but if you are really excited about communications, you don't have to use content creation. I mean, it'll pass through us, but you can also develop your own assets. You can write your own posts, you can write your own blogs, your own emails. If you're excited about doing that, here's some of the guidelines that we have for the Junior League, including our branding styles, so the colors we use, the fonts that we use, and general best tips and practices for how to speak about certain populations and certain community partners. That's all there if you want to give yourself a little class in that and do some writing on behalf of your committee. That's awesome. So just check out those tools. Those are all within the communications resources tab on the portal. And then because I get lost on the member website, I did some screenshots and some circles, which have kind of moved around a little bit, but that's okay. we just spoke about in the last couple of slides, you know, reaching out to content creation, setting up kickoff calls, or doing an email. All of those things get the ball rolling, but we essentially won't be able to create content until you submit a form. It's very official. It has to be a form. So all of these forms, this is a list of all the forms that we have for different things you might need. So if you want to update the member calendar or do a Zoom reservation, these are all linked in the slides and I will send it to you guys. If you want to have a Friday Flash feature, there's a form for that and you can click that link. Website update, there's a form for that. Content creation support, email campaigns, archives and photography support. Sorry guys, I haven't actually spoken out loud almost all day. So this is like the first thing. I tried to do a little bit of warming up and here we are. So yeah, the circle is comms request form. It's bolded on the left. So just click that. And then the other big thing is that most of these request forms, you'll need to kind of flag it to your council head or senior council head, depending on the depending on what you're asking, to get approval before you submit the form. So make sure you've looped in your council head or senior council head, and then go ahead and submit that form nice and early. And we can go to the next slide. Submit your content in advance. Give us a lot of time because it's all volunteers and we're still dealing with a lot of craziness, and you know, let's be kind and rewind a few days. So for Friday Flash, always submit your article by Wednesday, 9 a.m. during the week of the article should appear, or even earlier, because that's, you know, that's only a couple days ahead of time. So earlier is always better. And then for anything else, give us 2 to 3 weeks before the target date of your first post. So if you want your post up in September, you know, submit it now for us to start working on it to get it up in September. And then, yeah, as always, help us help you. We, you know, the team of content creation volunteers and archives and photography, they are really excited to get to know all the different committees and learn about all the things that we're going to talk about and promote on our website and social media. But just help us, when you give us requests, describe the who, what, where, when, why, and how. And even if you don't have the details, you know it so much better than us. Even if you can tell us, I don't know what this is, but it would be great to find this out because the vendor is going to tell us da, 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 da. That's great. Then we will go and be investigators and we will find that out. Draft as much of the article or the copy as you can. Like if you know you have to say this particular line of copy for your event or for your issue or for your community partner, make sure you include that kind of stuff. And then provide us with all the relevant links to event websites, tickets, more information, all of that. Give us photos or graphics if you're really creative and you want to give us that. It always helps us, or at least give us some visual direction and let us know where we should start. I think that's it.
Thank you, Courtney. Does anyone have any questions for Courtney? This is very helpful. And like Courtney said, we're definitely going to drop these slides and into the co-chair section of Digital Cheetah, and we'll also have this recording saved as well. Thank you so much, Courtney.
Thank you, Courtney.
Thank you.
All right. Up next, we have our finance presentation. I'm going to introduce you, Noreen O'Carter, and Noreen is the 2022-2024 Finance Council Head. In her role, Maureen works with NYJL councils and committees to support and educate chairs and committees about their budgets and expenses. Her previous NYJL roles included the finance work group, chef, and artistic journeys. In her spare time, Maureen enjoys long distance running, French cooking, and reading classic fiction. Welcome, Maureen.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having finance have a seat here at the Training Council. So today I'll be going over some finance procedures for the year, and I promise to make them as exciting as possible. I know finance isn't always the sexiest topic to talk about, but it's really important that the committee and just leaders in general on the Training Council understand just what the financial procedures are, so that to streamline communication and just to make sure that you guys are just continuing to be the rock stars that you are. So in terms of the finance team, if we go to the next slide. So the finance team consists of the treasurer, Alicia Adams. There's a finance council head, that's me. Also, that includes members on your council as well, the senior area treasurers and the committee treasurers. And then in terms of NYJL internally, there's Diane Brody, who's I know is on the call. Hi, Diane. There's also Dinah, and we have our accountants through the form of CLA. That's the name of the company. There are accountants who help us out with reporting, which we'll get to later. Okay, so what is the role of a treasurer and also the chairs? You guys will be involved with finance too, and then also the council head. So there are a few basic responsibilities that you guys have. One is to know your budgets. We have budgets that are on a yearly basis, but that yearly annual budget is split out into individual months. So starting with July and then ending with June. So you guys should have some information about the budget. If I know that it was circulated just last week. But if you guys have any questions, please reach out. The most important thing is to make sure that you're paying attention to the monthly budget. And why is that important? Is because if there's any variation, we, in terms of the budget, we want to know about it early. So let's say you had been planning to spend $500 for a month and actually you spent $40 that month. That is something that we want to know about, and as early and as soon as possible. So the next responsibility is to make sure that you guys are following the financial procedures, which we'll get into. And then also being able to liaise with the members of the finance teams, whether that's me or Alicia, or even some of the council treasurers, just being able to do stuff like, track expenses, making sure that you're asking questions, documenting anything that needs to be documented. And then that also comes to with just tracking and reconciling your numbers, like we're saying, against the monthly budgets that are there. Okay, so can I get a raise of hands? Like, do you guys have certain council or like treasurers that are in the room right now? Can I get a wave or
So
here?
it varies. We have co-chairs right now from all of the different councils and each of the different areas. We also have some associates on the line. I'm not sure if we have any of the area treasurers on. I don't believe we do. We have a former committee treasurer here. I'm sure we have a few others in addition to Archit, but yeah, we don't have any current committee treasurers.
Okay. Do you expect to get some later in the future, or you're just kind of like sorting that out right now?
So this event right now is just for co-chairs and associates, but we will have another event in a few weeks that treasurers will be invited to. So we'll be in touch with more details about that.
Okay, sounds great. Awesome. So even if you're not an area treasurer, even as a co-chair, you guys play a really vital role in just making sure that everything is fine from a financial standpoint. So if we move on to the next slide. All right, so here are some key spreadsheets. I know spreadsheets. They can be fun. Here are some key documents, I guess, to learn about. So there's the annual budget. And again, that has like your annual number in terms of like spending and revenue, like the projections that you guys are expected to spend, and then also what you're expected to bring in. Those have been uploaded to the digital Cheetah folder under the Training Council. And I think they were also emailed as well. So I'm sure they will be shared with you if they haven't been already. And then also we have our monthly financial reports. So these are important because every fourth week of the month, we'll be uploading monthly financial reports that show you what you spent or what you brought in for any given month. And just to give a heads up, there is like a little bit of a lag in terms of reporting. So we closed out July a few weeks ago. We will not have reporting for July until like the end of August. So that's just something to take into account, that there is a little bit of a time delay. Event reconciliations, I don't think we need to worry about on training council, since I don't think there are like any huge events.
Oh, we do actually, we have co-chairs on from all the different councils. So we do have some co-chairs on from the fundraising council. So if you could chat about that a little bit, I think that'd be helpful, please.
Yeah, sure. So for our really, really big events that we're going to be bringing in revenue that's over $50,000, what we do after the event is to have an event reconciliation. And that basically means that we're double checking that the numbers that you guys have in terms of what you spent and also what you brought in matches the reporting that we receive from CLA. So just making sure that, you know, we're on the same page in terms of the activity that was done from a monetary standpoint. I see a question in the chat room. So aside from providing rolling updates for the monthly financial closing, what are other things about which co-chairs need to provide an update on a monthly basis? To clarify, in regards to all areas, not just financial, what are all things that require a monthly update? Well, I can speak to it from a financial point of view, which is every month we will be sending you guys the monthly report. It'll also come with a Google Doc. In the Google Doc will be very high level notes in terms of what happened during that month from a financial point of view. We totally understand that not everyone loves Excel. I happen to love it, but not everyone does. That's fine. So we include just very high level notes in terms of what took place. And the goal is that you will have the ability to read those high level notes and say, yes, I agree, or even just to provide some background in terms of what happened. So let's say if there was overspending for the month, we want to hear from you guys, why did that happen? And you know, what led to that? Similarly, if there's underspending, we also want to know, because we want to make sure that we're on budget. I think there's maybe a perception that if we don't spend our budget, then that's good. No, actually, like, we do want you to spend your budget. Like, please spend your budget, like spend it. We'll go through how to spend it, not including tax. But yes, please spend your budget so that we can be on budget. Okay. So does that answer your question, Archie? You can just say hi. Yes, if it does in the chat room. Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Okay, so in terms of committee budgets and financial reports, again, just notify early and often if there's any big change between like the variance in between like what the budget is and what actually took place during the month. And also too, if you guys want more of a budget, or somehow the budget has changed in some regard, that's when it would be escalated to Megan and myself, and we would have a chance to talk about it. Okay, so there's another question. Are these monthly reports new? So that's a very good question. Okay, so I was finance associate for the last 2 years, and these are not new reports. What I'm actually learning is that the communication of all the reports that were happening was very minimal. So I just want to thank Megan again for giving finance the forum here to shout it from the rooftops that we do send monthly reports and we upload them into Digital Cheetah, and we're going to start emailing them as well, just to make sure that we're having more interaction with you guys. So not a new phenomenon, but maybe one that's coming to the surface. Great question though. All right, so next, and Megan, you can let me know how I'm doing on time too. Okay, so we're gonna go through a sample budget just to let you know, like what to keep in mind. The main things are looking at like the monthly budget numbers, also looking at the notes that are, if there are any notes, not every council had like budget notes in them, but if they did, like pay attention to those. And then also in terms of just tracking in terms of expenses, there are certain codes. They're usually like 4 digits, and it's a matter of making sure that when you fill out any expense form or when you're trying to understand like what your budget is, there are different codes to follow. So actually a picture is worth 1,000 words. So let's just go to the next slide. Perfect. Okay. So here is a sample committee budget for BET. And as you can see here, there's the total budget for the year is $20,500. And then it's broken out in between the months. So we expect you to really start spending in September. It doesn't mean that like you absolutely cannot spend in July or August, but this is what is based off of like the prior year. And if there is spending in July and August, like we just want to know why that is so we can like understand and like recalibrate for the rest of the year. Was there a question? Okay. Where do we find the chart of account codes to use on expense forms? So yeah, that's a great question. If you go to the finance section on the website, you'll see what the budget codes are, but you can also refer here to like your individual budgets to know, like, should I write in 6004 or should I write in 6005? Again, this is just an example for BET. But you can use some of the helpful documents on the website to know. Okay. All right, so here's what I was talking about in terms of like the monthly reports. So I'll walk you through kind of like how to read or understand these monthly reports. So this is a sample from February 2022. So if you pay attention to there's it says like month to date variance, then it says like the date. And then if you go to where it says actual budget and variance, those are the columns that you want to pay attention to. So if I'm reading from left to right, it means that in February of 2022, there was 0 spending that took place. Even though you guys were budgeted to spend $1,900. So that did not happen. So as you can see in the next column, if you go all the way down to the bottom, what's in bold, it's $1,900 of like a net asset gain is the technical term. Let's call it like a credit, for lack of a better word. But again, we don't want you guys to have credit. Like we want you guys to spend. So please spend. Like we want, ideally, we want the variance when it comes to change in net assets to be 0 because you guys are spending against your budget. So then that's just like for the month of February 2022. And then the next section where it says year to date says like what you guys have done up until from July up until February. So actual total spending was $7,300. Even though you guys were budgeted to spend $11,400. So not enough spending going on. So that's when you think, how can I spend? What is a way that I can spend? And then we also allow you to see like what you guys were doing last year in February 2021 and how it compares to what you did this year. So that's where it says prior year to date. And if you scroll all the way down, the total was at 7,000 by February of 2021, which is, I guess, on par with what happened up until February 2022. I talked a lot. Does anyone have any questions? Can someone please post the location or a link to the chart? Yes, we can do that. That'll be a follow-up. So yes. Do you feel like you guys understand how to interpret this report, like kind of, sort of? Okay, awesome. So thank you, very helpful explanation. Okay, wonderful. All right, so then moving on to the next slide. So again, the role is to really look for a difference between what was budgeted and what was spent. And a good rule of thumb is that if there's a variance of 10% in either way, meaning like you underspent by 10%, you overspent by 10%, we want to know about it, and we want to know about it as quickly as possible. So 10% or greater is what that means, like a variance of 10% or more. But still, like, the more communication you have with us, the easier it'll just be throughout the year. So I would say over communicate. If you're thinking, oh, maybe this isn't something I want to bring up, it's okay, bring it up. We want to know about it as soon as possible. And then again, just mentioning the Google spreadsheet. And Megan, maybe you can send me the names of all the people that I should be sending the Google spreadsheets to. That would be really helpful.
Yes, I will do that.
Awesome, thank you. All right, so really quickly, we'll go through the committee expense policies and some of the forms that you guys should know about, which are available also in the finance section on the website. So we'll start with the first one, which is the tax exempt form. What's very, very important, and what is a common mistake, is that we do not reimburse for tax. So if you go to the next slide, so let's say, oh yes, that's the finance section on the website. So you can go there to see all the forms. So if you spent like $40 and then there was like $4 of tax, you will not be reimbursed for that $4 of tax. So the total should be, on the expense form, should be 40, not 44. That's very important. And this is a common mistake that people make. And then it just takes longer for you guys to get reimbursed. So just make sure that you just take that in mind the first time around. Okay, so if we go to the next slide. Okay, pre-approvals. So let's say if you're spending under $100, there's no need to get approval. But if you're spending $100 or more, here's a chart that really outlines who you need to talk to in order to get approval. So as an example, if you're spending between $100 and $249, there needs to be an email approval from the committee chair and also the council head. And so you can just follow this rubric in order to know, like, who should I get email documentation from in order to have that expense approved and authorized. Okay, next slide. Okay, purchase order forms. Guess what? They're now online. So you no longer have to print it and then fill it out like old school. Diane was really helpful, and her team was really helpful in terms of getting them online. So thank you for that, Diane. So the purchase order forms are really great if there's like a really big expense that you know that you will be making. And you want to make sure that, we want to make sure that for any big purchases, this form needs to be filled out. So this must be approved by the co-chair, and also if a chair makes the expenditure, her co-chair or the council head should have that approved. And this is where the account codes are very helpful, because you will be asked to fill out like that 4-digit code and then what the expense ties back to. So this can be filled out by any committee member, just so you know. Okay, I'm seeing questions come in. So what is the difference between the boxes with a single X versus a double? Oh, that's a good question. Can we go back to the previous slide with the You guys are bringing it with the questions. No, I love it. This is great. This is great. I love the engagement. That's a good question. I'm not sure there is a difference in terms of 1X and a double X. Diane, if you're there and I missed something, you can let me know.
The kind of man would wear a fake
I think it
watch.
says on the slide 1X equals
On the other hand,
must sign, so maybe all of them must sign, and then XX equals one of the above must sign. So like it layers on as you go down.
Brilliant observation. Thank you very much. Yep, that's the answer. It's kind of hard to see on the screen, but yeah. Okay, and then the next question, if you're a co-chair spending $102, does your co-chair need to approve, or can we go straight to the council head? I would say go straight to the council head. That's a good point. Just go straight to the council head just to be on the safe side. You could get a co-chair, but it's kind of like, I don't know, it's like asking your best friend for like to have something approved. Like, of course she's going to say yes. So like, just go to the council head. Yeah. Can I sign for myself as a co-chair on the expense form? So no, you cannot. That is when, if you're a co-chair, then you'd want to get sign off from your council head. Great questions. All right, so moving on. So here's more information about the purchase order forms. So if it's a new vendor, we do need a W-9 form. So that's very important. And we understand that maybe you don't know the exact amount when you fill out the form. So you can say the purchase order is expected to be up to X dollar limit. And then you can submit the PO forms. Again, they can be filled out online, and they can also be emailed to Diane. All right. Let's go to, do you have an approved vendor list for vendors? We have W-9s on file. No, I don't have that list. I think that's something that maybe just like historically, like you guys would know, whether you've worked with a certain vendor or not. So I would just reach out maybe to like a prior, like the person who was in your position previously to see like maybe whether it's a new vendor. Okay, so are we planning on spending over $10,000? Maybe, okay. Well, that requires a PO that the president must sign, because those are big bucks. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there, but yeah, that requires a lot of approval. Okay, you can ask Diane if a vendor has submitted. Perfect. Okay, thank you, Diane. All right, here's the expense form, which is also online. The expense form is probably the one that you'll be filling out the most. I would imagine that you're going to make a lot of purchases that are $100 or less. So this is where the account codes are very, very important. You want to make sure to get them right. This expense reimbursement form is online. And one really cool thing is that I believe there's a direct deposit feature for the expense reimbursement form. So you could, fill all this information out and, do it manually, or you can just do it online and you put in all of your information and it's actually just processed faster. So I would recommend that. Okay, next. Okay, so whenever you submit an expense reimbursement form, of course, you need like the receipt or the invoice. And a very important thing, very important, please know that we need the expense reimbursement request to be made no later than 30 days after the activity. I think this is a common mistake of members submitting expense reimbursement forms very late after the event. So just remember 30 days. All right. All right. And another, sorry, one last thing is that even if you did fill out a PO form, you must also provide an expense reimbursement form as well. So the expense reimbursement form is needed like across the board. Okay. All right, so committee reminders. Okay, so here's some expenses that are not, I'm getting a question. Is an expense not reimbursable if you are past the 30 days? So I'm supposed to say yes. Sorry, I'm supposed to say, yes, it's non-reimbursable. That's I think that's the talk track. So yeah, 30 days. Okay. In terms of what is not considered to be an approved committee expense. So food and beverage that's offered to members during a meeting. So no, like buying rosé for a committee meeting and then trying to expense it, like just no for a lot of different reasons. So entertaining members for different events with community partners, gifts for members, it's their birthday, they're getting married, like we don't expense anything like that. And then payments or gifts for anyone who speaks for NYJL membership. That is also, I think that's very relevant for you guys. That is not an approved committee expense. And then before I go on, because I've been talking a lot, any questions? Does this all make sense relatively? Is this all like you guys? Okay, great. Can you ever have a paid speaker? Yes, I believe though that needs to go through special approval, is my understanding. And Diane, if you're on the line, I believe that's like it needs to be authorized.
If it's in your budget, it's fine. There are some committees that have a lot of BET pays for speakers, so that's fine. Leadership Day pays for speakers. If it's not in your budget, then you should get approval.
Okay, thank you for that. So I think it's an IRS regulation and expenses must be submitted in a certain time period. In the corporate world, you need to submit expenses within 60 days. That sounds about right. So yeah, 30 days. That's the plan. Okay, so are 3 bids only required for payments of more than 10,000? My understanding is yes. Yes. Okay, next question. Placement has historically ordered wine for the committee that wins placement previews design award. Is that prohibited? Well, I would say that is my understanding. I don't want to out anyone. I'm like, it's okay. So I would say that falls under the category of it's not prohibited, that it is prohibited. But Diane, again, you can weigh in here.
No, we allow that 1 bottle of wine for 1 committee in a year. Yes, that's it.
Okay, perfect.
Um,
See, there's
yeah.
some leeway. Okay. Are food for orientations covered as a committee expense? My understanding is no.
No, they are covered. There is certain food that is in budgets for internal events, and that's covered. We find most of those are being ordered through Dinah. We had, for example, Fresh Direct in yesterday with food for the new membership orientation last night. But food for your own committee meetings. No, that's, you need to take care of that yourself. But if there's a lot of different things that it's already in your budget. If it's in your budget, it's allowed. We've already spent some time looking at this, and so look at your budget. And if you have food there, do a little happy dance, and then you can spend it.
Great. That's a good rule of thumb. Thank you, Diane. All right. So moving on. So in-kind donations, are we expecting to make any in-kind donations for Training Council? Okay.
Oh, so the fundraising co-chairs will likely have some of those for their events. So I think we could cover that, please.
Sure. So there is an in-kind donation form, and that form is also on the NYJL website. So you would just fill it out. It's a pretty straightforward form. So those donations must be approved and signed off by the development office, and then they'll be documented into the development numbers that get recorded. So I would just in general, I would just go to the financial section on the website, just look through each of the forms and just familiarize yourself with them. Diane, did you want to add anything on there?
Oh, no, that's
Okay,
Thank you.
cool. All right. So biggest mistakes, again, submitting late expenses, incorrect coding, incorrect addresses, like maybe you moved and so then we send you a check and know what the mail bounces it back. So a great way to just get around this is just to sign up for direct deposit and just make your life easier. Also, paying without approvals, even if something was authorized last year, doesn't mean that it might be authorized this year. So you still need to go through the approval process anyway. So treat every expense as like a brand new expense and just get approvals for it based on the chart that was laid out earlier. Again, paying taxes, you will not be reimbursed for taxes. And then committee members sign a quote or an invoice or a contract. That is not something that a committee member can do. That is something that either possibly the Training Council head would do, I would do, or even someone in the management office. So that is not something that you can necessarily take care of. All right, so what are wins that we've had? You guys, first of all, using the online forms because we're digitally savvy like that. And also correct filling out the forms correctly, and also informing the treasurers and like the council head of any financial issues, whether they happen or even if you see them in the future, you're like, hey, like we were estimated to spend X amount for this event, that has changed. We're likely not going to spend that number. Send that information ahead of time. And when it's been done, it's worked out really well. And again, just more communication. The more communication we have, the better. All right, so we are nearing the end. A lot of helpful tips here that we've kind of already talked about, so I won't. Yes, okay. So in terms of information, if you have any questions, send an email to me and the finance team at finance@nyjl.org. Again, there's the finance section on the website. There are all those helpful forms that you can fill out. And there are some also, if you're really into it, you can read some articles about it that we have in the membership's standing rules, if you ever want some reading material before you go to bed. And I think that's it. Any more questions?
This has been super helpful, Maureen. Thank you so much. We always get the most questions from this section.
Oh, yes, I know. Finance is so much fun. I know what you're saying. Oh, amazing.
You were super detailed. It was awesome.
Oh, thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate
the slides are great.
Thank you. Well, I'm excited for all the amazing things that you guys are going to do this year. So I look forward to working with you.
Thanks, Noreen.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, at this time, everyone, we're gonna, before we go into our breakout rooms, we're just gonna give you some save the dates and some upcoming events that we have at the league. So we have a few dates we would like to put on your radar. First time chair training is on Wednesday, September 14th via Zoom. Boot camp is on Monday, October 3rd. This is an in-person event at the Astor House, and fall chair training is on Tuesday, October 12th on Zoom. And now Helene will let you know about some upcoming league events.
Okay, so some upcoming NYJL events, super cool. Homecoming, Friday, September 30th, Marathon Mixer, Thursday, October 13th, Fall House Tour, Saturday, October 22nd, one of my favorites. Marathon Brunch, Saturday, November 5th, Marathon, Sunday, November 6th, and Golden Tree, Thursday, November 10th through Saturday, November 12th. See you guys there.
Also, do you know a strong leader? We have some open leadership roles available. Please reach out to Christina Murphy, christina.murphy.nyjl@gmail.com. And at the conclusion of this event, we are going to send out a brief survey. We ask that you please fill it out, respond to it as best you can. We welcome all feedback. It helps us make sure that we plan trainings that are useful and informative and will help you become, the great leaders we know you are. So now with that, let's go get ready for our breakout rooms.